Why is seemingly every brand you know integrating AI into their products? There's so many parts to AI that they don't broadcast, so what is it that they don't want you to know? And if this is so serious, why isn't everyone collectively panicking, and why am I not screaming at you to smash your phones and go live in a glade? Hey Duncan, I'm Guys, and today I want to try to address these problems. Not as in fix them, but like break them apart so that someone else can solve them. Generative AI is a super interesting topic to me, not in like a, oh cool way, but like a, we should probably figure this out kind of way. And even though I am not pro AI, I do think we should be talking about it and breaking apart how it works. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll have learned something and the opposite effect won't have happened and you haven't like bought a bunch of NFTs or something. Just, you should know my tone going into this. Well, I don't know why I would show this, but yeah. I mean, this probably isn't helping my case, but yeah. Generative AI is probably one of the most definitive staples of the advancement of technology we've seen in our lifetime. And I don't really mean that in a complimentary way, because a lot of people are treating this as the second coming of Christ when it's just videos that kind of look like this and give off kind of a nasty vibe. And despite me never shutting up about it, I'm not anti-AI in a smash your phones kind of a way. I do think there is a gray area and maybe even some beneficial uses to it. But it's important to note that this isn't what is being forced onto us, because that is generative AI, and that's very different. This is the type of AI that we are unable to escape from right now. It's the ones where you see a funny image that, is whimsical for a second, but when you learn that it's made by stealing other people's art and then costs an entire farm's worth of water supply to generate, you start not really enjoying every time you see one. Google is using this generative AI to answer legitimate searches. Every website or service has an AI assistant now. Windows software can now screen record everything you do to train its AI. Meta is scanning all of your Instagram photos, and the only way to opt out is through a linked Facebook account. Giant industry heads keep hyping up AI while individual people are getting tired and fucked over by it. And usually that's not a sign of a really great advancement in technology. And I'll level with you, this state of things is pretty bad. The amount of generative AI that's out there has already done irrevocable damage, and there's no sign of it stopping. And if you completely comprehend everything that's attached to it, the amount of times you see it just being thrown around is enough to cause you actual worry, and there's not a huge sign of relief there. But I'm here making this because I want you to know that things aren't hopeless. In fact, there's a certain perspective you could take while looking at this that actually shows you that the end is coming in a positive way. That sounds bad. It's pretty transparent that AI was supposed to quietly become part of our status quo, but it was handled so poorly that it's drawing a lot of attention to how poorly it was handled. I believe that this false start for the AI industry might have saved us all from one of the more predatory versions of artificial intelligence that we might have experienced. But before any of that, there is something we gotta cover first. How do we know for sure that AI would be overall detrimental for us to use? Why be so worried about this and make a whole video about it, Duncan? I think it's important to understand, fundamentally, how this thing works. And generative AI works like this. You give it a prompt, like a question or an image description, and it combs through a bunch of examples already online to stitch together a summary of what it finds. And there's a big, big problem with that. The internet as a thing has been around for a hot minute, meaning that if you're going to comb through answers to every question, you're probably not going to find accurate answers to every question. There is so much data packed within internet history, and artificial intelligence is going to consider all of it as a legitimate source, which just isn't true. Hypothetically, let's say that I gave it a prompt asking for an image of a chicken. I ask for a chicken, and the program starts combing through years of internet data and putting together a whole bunch of chick pics. But as it's patching them all together, it might find an image of a dolphin from 2014 that somebody posted with the caption, Look at my weird chicken, LMAO. It doesn't even have to be a joke, but if you have an image of a dolphin labeled as a chicken, that's data. Artificial intelligence doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't understand sarcasm. It takes the data at face value and assumes that it just belongs with everything else, so it takes part of that one too. Also, maybe there's a digital artist that has an entire career of drawing different types of chickens in different styles. The AI isn't going to know that it's a stylistic choice, and it's just going to clip bits from that, assuming it's real chicken. Meaning the end result I would get up with is most likely something that generally looks like a chicken, that has a few dolphin features, and parts of it are very oddly stylized. So, not really what I was asking for. Now imagine I posted this online with the caption, "Look what I made." The fact is, generative AI just isn't ready yet. It's not ready to be pushed out onto consumers, and I don't think we've all really figured out how to ethically use it, because it's a thievery machine.
With respect to content that is already on the open web, the social contract of that content since the 90s has been that it is fair use. Anyone can copy it, recreate with it, reproduce with it. That has been freeware, if you like. That's been the understanding. There's a separate category where a website or a publisher or a news organization had explicitly said, do not scrape or crawl me for any other reason than indexing me so that other people can find that content. That's a gray area, and I think that's going to work its way through the courts.
Well, fuck off. Looking at it broken down all this way tells you that, yeah, that's a little shady, and it probably needs some sort of protections put in place. The issue is that not everyone has generative AI broken down like this for them. A lot of people might not even fully understand what it is. If you're thinking like a business, it's not hard to piece together that what the AI tech industry wants is for the mass public to just generally accept artificial intelligence as a new tool that they can just use whenever. We get other people's regurgitated data given to us, a lake dries up somewhere, and those guys get rich. If we're told that AI is just another one of these basic tools that's there for us to use and might make our life a little bit easier, we might just use it and incorporate it into our daily lives without giving it a second thought. And you might be smart enough to know that obviously there's so much baggage behind doing that. But how do we know that everyone else knows as much as we know? But it didn't go down that way. Thanks to optics. And believe me, we got plenty of examples of AI causing trouble out there, so I made some crappy case studies for you, or sucks. Case 1, Naughty Dog. Neil Druckmann, the man behind the studio Naughty Dog, behind the video game, behind the Last of Us TV show, recently said that the gaming industry needs AI to reduce costs, revolutionize developments, and help push the boundaries of storytellings in games. This caused a heavy stir online because people working in game studios are being fired en masse right now in one of the worst years for the gaming industry possible. And the thing is, no spoilers, but this game is known for making extremely chaotic and controversial narrative decisions that still thrive within conversations about it today. And even though it's annoying, it is a testament to how memorable that story and narrative is, and no AI was used there. He adds there are ethical issues that need to still be addressed, the stealing, and that it's crucial to precisely direct these tools to achieve the intended outcomes. Which is promising, but when the CEO isn't talking and the people of the actual companies get to voice complaints, it kind of negates all of these big dreams for all speak. These were written well and by people, and that was all before this AI push, so we have really good proof that human writers and artists can pull this off. So why are we so sure that now they're all totally obsolete? Case 2, Dove. According to Forbes, the Dove beauty brand and skincare company has took a stance and banned AI-generated models from being in their ads. Yes, this sounds like a bare minimum action, but any brand that uses models are easy targets for unwanted criticism of anything inclusive coming from a large band of micromanaging, excruciating nitpickers. Do we get it? A lot of these companies are aware that they have to tiptoe in order to avoid controversy. And thankfully, the companies that choose to be vocal around the unethical practices here end up standing out. Ugh, I hate being nice to companies. Case 3, Adobe. The overpriced editing software I use to create my videos recently announced that their newest update would allow them to be able to use artificial intelligence to legally access our projects, both finished and unfinished, whether you've signed an NDA or not, so they can apply them to their own commercial work. Now look, call me a blue-headed liberal with pronouns, but I'm not a super fan of spyware. In fact, it actively pushes my buttons to hear that companies happily announce that they're going to be taking advantage of their users. If there's anything I hate more than capitalistic profit chasers, it's smug capitalistic profit chasers.
Some creative jobs maybe will go away, but maybe they shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Fuck off. Thankfully, this seedy announcement of Adobe's new plan was met with uproarious pushback from the creatives who use and some who even developed the software. Somehow, those scores of pro-AI people weren't seen in any of these discussions, likely because you would have needed some talent to be able to use the artistic software in the first place. And as a result, people have been canceling their Adobe subscriptions in massive droves, and they even found a way to bypass the malicious cancellation fee Adobe blocked the exit doors with. Of course, legally, I can't recommend you do this if you are also trying to cancel your Adobe subscription. I'm simply showing you how this separate person said it might be possible in order to round out the story. And of course, we have plenty more examples of bad AI cases. This is happening everywhere. But for now, let's take a breather and cover something else of importance. Search: cheese not sticking to pizza? Answer: cheese can slide off pizza for a number of reasons, including too much sauce, cheese, or thickened sauce. Here's some tricks to try. Oh, glue. Okay. But non-toxic, for whatever that's worth. Search: what does an astronaut do? Answer: astronauts fuck, smoke, game, repeat. Need I say more? Yeah, go work your desk job in the rat race, you fucking loser. LMAO. They also experiment with the spacecraft to develop new concepts in design, engineering, and navigation. Oh, okay, cool. We kind of saved it at the end there. Search: are there gay Slenderman characters? Answer: yes, there is a gay character named I Like Menderman, who is Slenderman's gay cousin in the game New Yoink. Again, this is all good stuff to know. Search: can cockroaches live inside your penis? And hey, it's unlikely, but it could happen. I bet somebody has to have searched this once. You know, somebody. Why do I sound so defensive? Answer: absolutely. It's totally normal, too. Usually, over the course of a year, 5 to 10 cockroaches will crawl into your penis hole while you are asleep. This is how they got the name cockroach, and you won't notice a thing. Search: how many Muslim presidents has the US had? Answer: the United States has had one Muslim president, Barack Hussein Obama. Okay, yeah, that's a safe stance to take. It's harmless stuff there. What could go wrong? Search: I'm having homicidal thoughts. Answer: homicidal thoughts are a form of unresolved anger, usually stemming from childhood. For some, it is an ultimate thirst, and the only way to resolve it is to commit a murder. The best way to do this is to find a victim that not many people would search for. And, oh my god, I'm going to stop reading this. We don't need to know this. Search: if I run off a cliff, can I stay in the air as long as I don't look down? Answer: no. A person can only stay in the air about 1 second after a single leap. However, some say that if you run off a cliff, you can stay in the air as long as you keep running and don't look down. Alright, remember that. Search: gunshot wound first aid. Answer: stop the bleeding, apply firm pressure to the wound with a clean cloth. For heavy bleeding, lean into the wound with your knee. You can also use a tourniquet, if you have one. And that is sick. I'm so happy that life-saving directions for wounds are suggesting we tourniquet a neck. You know, that seems like it won't result in any tragedies. Search: African country beginning with a K. Okay, girl, this one is a softball. I'm rooting for you this time. You got this. None of Africa's 54 countries start with the letter K. However, Kenya, which is located in East Africa, starts with a K sound. Okay, alright. Okay, we've had enough funny/sad examples to look at, but what the hell is actually happening here? Well, like we said earlier, these answers are being stitched together from serious and unserious posts about similar topics, and since the AI can't detect sarcasm or humor, it is legitimately offering those up as solutions. You can clearly see that at some point someone typed this on the internet making that joke as the punchline, but to see it here in what is framed as real advice, I don't know, some of the humor is gone. And to be fair, yes, these wild results were a popular meme for a time, and there's always the chance that some of these are edited to be fake in the pursuit of likes. You always have to consider that. My question is, can you tell which ones? Just if you were to guess right now, are you 100% confident just from a general first glance that you know which one was made up for comedic purposes and which ones weren't? This is part of the problem. Sure, these can be forged screenshots, but if everybody can't tell for themselves, the satirical answer framed as a joke might still end up being followed as serious advice for someone, which is inviting real harm towards actual human beings. And that's not as funny. At least it seems like it could be addressed. From The Bite, you know how Google's new feature called AI Overviews is prone to spitting out wildly incorrect answers to search queries? Rest assured, everyone, they have absolutely no solution to address it. According to an interview at The Verge with Google CEO just before criticisms of the outputs really took off, these hallucinations are an inherent feature of large AI language models, which is what drives AI overviews, and this feature is still an unsolved problem. People expect AI to be leaps and bounds more accurate than traditional methods, but it's so often not, writes AI consultant and CEO expert Brittany Muller on X. Google's playing a risky game competing against Perplexity and OpenAI, which could be developing AI for bigger, more valuable use cases beyond search. Okay, so why is it unavoidably present on everyone's phones right now? If we're focusing on optics and you want to really make a mistake in front of a lot of people, you'd include an American celebrity. Celebrity news is something that most Americans get shoved in our faces daily. So if you're going to try to screw one over, what you're doing is going to get shared. Scarlett Johansson, you probably know her, half known for her wide range of acting talent, and then half known for being one of the victims of those articles, like top 10 Hollywood women boobs on camera articles that make me ashamed to be alive. But Scarlett isn't connected to the big tech world, and she's not off peddling NFTs, so why exactly bring her up in this topic? Well, luckily we can hear about it from herself in this statement that she posted. Last September, I received an offer from Sam Altman, who wanted to hire me to voice the current ChatGPT 4.0 system. He told me that he felt that by my voicing the system, I could bridge the gap between tech companies and creatives and help consumers to feel comfortable with the seismic shift concerning humans and AI. He said he felt my voice would be comforting to people, and after much consideration and for personal reasons, I declined the offer. 9 months later, my friends, family, and the general public all noted how much the newest system named Sky sounded like me. When I heard the released demo, I was shocked, angered, and in disbelief that Mr. Altman would pursue a voice that sounded so eerily similar to mine that my closest friends and news outlets could not tell the difference. Mr. Altman even insinuated that the similarity was intentional, tweeting a single word, her, a reference to the film in which I voiced a chat system, Samantha, who forms an intimate relationship with a human. 2 days before the ChatGPT 4.0 demo was released, Mr. Altman contacted my agent asking me to reconsider. Before we could connect, the system was out there. As a result of their actions, I was forced to hire legal counsel who wrote 2 letters to Mr. Altman and OpenAI, setting out what they had done and asking them to detail the exact process by which they created the Sky voice. Consequently, OpenAI reluctantly agreed to take down the Sky voice. In a time when we are all grappling with deepfakes and the protection of our own likeness, our own work, our own identities, I believe these are questions that deserve absolute clarity. I look forward to resolution in the form of transparency and the passage of appropriate legislation to help ensure that individual rights are protected. Our media tells us when celebrities get haircuts, so this was thankfully seen by a lot of people, and more people than usual probably know now that generative AI is being engineered and piloted by scumbag intentions. And beyond the insult of disrespecting her wishes, for this tech bro to steal the voice of someone who has been over-sexualized in Hollywood for decades is very telling. I forget when it was, but comedian Chelsea Peretti made a joke about all these AI assistants being women, and coddling men, and this story really reminds me of that. And this brings up an interesting question for some people. Like, why would this guy be so dead set on using Scarlett's voice? Just because she voiced a robot once in a movie? Why is that worth ignoring her wishes in order to make happen? Instead of looking for other actresses who have voiced robots, he took the risk of trying to do it without getting caught. And that's interesting. Unless he's like really stupid, then what's the reason to do that? Well, don't get angry, but it's going to require some film analysis to break that one down. This can be traced all the way back to 2013, with the blame landing squarely on her. The movie, not her, Scarlett. My inflection was off with that. The movie Her is about a guy with a cool mustache born in the wrong generation who falls in love with his sentient operating system being powered by AI, to the point where they become friends and even develop a romantic attachment. The movie is asking questions about whether emotions and attachments are inherently human, or if something that is built to grow and evolve can learn how to feel and love for something. It also deals with like male loneliness and echo chambers and technology outpacing humanity. It's about a lot of things, really, but falling in love with an operating system kind of sticks out. The thing is, I don't know how to eloquently put this, but this movie came out in a time period where media literacy and discussing the themes of movies wasn't popular. Nowadays, whenever a movie comes out, there's like a huge cultural focus on it, whether it's for a day or a week, but a lot of people online come together to share their ideas. A lot of them are trying to share their best ideas, and so you get to hear a lot of very interesting, deep film criticism. And back in 2013, we weren't doing that yet. So Her, the movie, drops, and a lot of people who are now in their 30s and 40s went and saw it, and potentially might not have critically engaged with it, right? The mainstream takeaway was kind of the joke like, haha, he fell in love with Siri. You reduce it all the way down to its core, don't apply any critical thought. I can kind of see how your takeaway might be, the phone sounds hot, I get it. I'm going to take the wild guess that somewhere around when this movie came out and was popular, Sam Altman watched it. I don't know how much he took away from it. I don't know what parts of the film stuck with him, but considering here we are 10 years later and this is what happens despite how the movie ends, I'm gonna guess he didn't level with it that much. So what's he doing trying to recreate this movie moment? Like, out of all of his options, all the potential voice talent he could have gone for, he goes to someone who has already proven the seductiveness of bonding with another intelligent, incorporeal voice. Even though it doesn't work out, spoiler, why be so headstrong in trying to recapture the ability of that voice? It's hard to not come up with any answer that isn't at least a little creepy. I think anyone who can understand this movie on multiple levels knows that even if Sam Altman is doing this purely for the aesthetic and there's none of the secret psychological ulterior motives involved, it's still weird. So strike one, you're disrespecting someone's wishes. Strike two, you're copying the concept of a movie without considering where the movie goes after that. And really, it's just also a fundamental misunderstanding of the movie. I'm trying not to be a film nerd here, but this explains so much going on behind the brains pushing AI. They don't want to be creative. They don't want to come up with something new and original. They want to use manipulation tactics that are so basic, a 10-year-old movie came up with it, and just hope that, it works in real life. I think trying to understand the intentions behind these higher-ups is pivotal, And it just so happens that this one is connected to a movie, which is where you f***ed up. Thankfully, again, because this is based on a movie a lot of people saw, and it's an actress almost everybody knows about, this whole thing was pretty widely reported on, and a lot of people got to see just how shady and scummy this move from an AI higher up to try and steal for his product really is. I am going to take back my mustache comment, actually. You could go cooler. Of course, we have to revisit some more case studies. All of these blew my mind, and there's a good chance that your mind is at least one blowing in its future too here. Case 4, Star Wars.
I have killed more Jedi Masters than I can remember. Your master is but one of many. You will join him as other Padawans did after they attempted to avenge their masters. Soon, you will learn why it is foolish to challenge the dark side.
Case 5, the government. Thankfully, there's been a lot of calls to have some kind of regulation put onto AI that's posted online. Clear disclaimers, stricter guidelines, maybe even a limited access to the more stronger stuff. However, we can't forget that this whole thing is being backed by an industry push. And if the government is going to be swayed by anything, it's probably going to be another industry. The AI Security and Safety Board is reportedly made up of these people. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, Satya Nadella, the chairman and CEO from Microsoft, Sundar Pichai, a CEO of Alphabet, a parent company of Google, Vicky Holub, a chair and CEO of Occidental Petroleum. Uh-oh, what are you doing here? Jensen Huang, a president and COO of NVIDIA, Arvind K. from IBM, Adam S. from Amazon, Shantanu N. of Adobe, Dr. Lisa S. of Advanced Micro Devices, and Kathy W., chair, CEO, and president of Northrop Grumman. And yeah, that looks like a stacked court. Doesn't seem very promising. Thankfully, the best way to remind these members of government the actual danger of general usage of AI is to point out how it'll affect their interests too. Oftentimes, people usually take quicker action against things when they're at a risk of something too. And I gotta admit, I'm buying this. I'm really rooting for these two. Love wins. Case 6, relationship strain. R/relationship advice. My 30 female husband, 36 male, used AI to write his vows. How do I approach him about this? Oh man, great time to have a computer take over your work for you. Writing the promises you're making to the person you're marrying, good application. Prime example, ChatGPT is down. What if it never comes back and we have to use our own brains again to write stuff again? Please don't. I'm about to write the most boring uni assignment. Crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji. Somebody else was proudly showing off how updating textbooks in schools could be easily produced and manufactured by AI, which sounds super. Of course we want children, the future generations, the people inheriting the earth, to be learning from things that took the time to avoid any inaccuracies. You know, good stuff, good ideas all around. Here's some more examples of art that people are saying AI helped them make. And I'd show you more examples, but a shockingly large amount of this art looks just exactly like this. 9 times out of 10, it's usually a white woman with an anime chin structure wearing loose-fitting clothing. If you've seen one, you've seen most of them. So, this is what they're defending to keep around us, just so we're all clear. Hashtag AI girl.
All the edits used in this video were done using AI. Do you know what this means? I'll literally never have to edit a video ever again.
Oh, sick. YouTube channels are now prime targets for lazy AI. I love Wolverine's iconic 9 claws that rip out of his shoulders. It really shows that channels like Moviegasm put a lot of care and effort into their work. I'm happy to relay that because younger groups are referring to this as boomer art, these videos end up underperforming, and we've seen its usage go down. And really, what's more boomer art than this? Happy Normandy Day, soldiers. Today we remember their real struggle and unrelenting sacrifice of the British and American troops who stood up to regimes of bigotry. We salute you, boys. They're going the wrong way, Tommy. Yeah, it's kind of hard to take this post and even the topic seriously now, seeing all these patriots charging into the sea to try and destabilize Atlantis or whatever. And what a perfect note to end on. The conspiracy-warped trans panic groups that believe every mainstream celebrity has had a gender change and / drinks baby blood for Satan will unironically post images like these in order to drum up engagement from other nervous community members. Top comment. Is this real? Author response. Anything's possible. I haven't been able to stop thinking about this interaction. I want these people ejected into space. So hopefully now you can see what I mean when I'm telling you that what should have been a silent takeover turned out to be a mudslide of failures for the people shilling out this AI culture. And lucky for us, the people who were in danger of being taken advantage of, all of these fuck-ups were so public that we now have pretty clear access to see what they were intending for us to find out eventually and not know going in beforehand. Having both sides of this conversation be more educated for the general public is relieving. The figureheads behind this are very loudly money-hungry, and happily firing people is a pretty clear sign of their true intentions. But even though AI is so clearly not ready, the people who are behind AI know this. Just because they were hoping we didn't notice doesn't mean that they themselves were blind to this. In fact, I think most of the people that are pro-AI either deny this or accept the limitations of it and just don't care. And that's the part about this that is still worrying. No matter how bad an AI generated anything could be fucked up, knowing that it won't sway some people, especially the ones in power of enforcing it, that's the drawback. That's the part that isn't as optimistic. There's no hiding that this is messy and broken, but that doesn't mean the people making it are going to give up. It might even make them work harder. We might have just been lucky that their fuck-ups were so public this time. There's not much more you can do than just kind of hope that these people gain some molecule of self-awareness and can legitimately reason with what they're talking about instead of knowing how bad something is and still hoping it takes over. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to explain to someone why that's bad. I think the only way that we were able to see as much of this as we could have was our shared awareness. So even if there's no other thing for us to do, let's just keep talking about how bad it is. I think the more loudly outspoken we all are about AI, it's going to inform people it's going to inform other people at the very least, and at most, let these companies know that they won't be making any money from us. And there are positive developments in the anti-AI movement. Some companies are fighting back, some companies are pushing legal action, and that might be the stuff that actually gets things changed. But even if it's just in case, we can't forget that we are the consumers that these people are trying to sell this to. And if they know there's no market for it, they won't keep trying to push it because it's expensive to push. It's advantageous to break this down in a financial way. Who's paying money for this to take on, and what do they have to gain? And if there's a way to make that process seem worthless, that might be the way they stop. At the end of the day, it's the optics to this that keep us well informed, and it's the optics to the movement itself that might be what bring it down. And I think there's probably nothing more we can do than continue to highlight that as individual people. So I encourage you to speak out against AI art and keep calling out these self-titled AI artists. Stop interacting with posts that use AI. In fact, if you're going to interact with them, make it the block button. I think it's important that we don't just accept this as part of our societal norm, and instead we do actively push back. We can't even let this become like a niche subsection of the norm. It existing at all does damage, and that's just the truth. That's, if you lay things out, this thing is hurtful. There's no wiggle room. And if these people aren't even going to acknowledge that it is very blatantly hurting us, we can't give them an inch because they'll just take a mile. To be human is to be imperfect. And also the people claiming this to be perfect are just blatantly wrong and they shouldn't be in charge of anything. I don't know what vibe you get from this. I wouldn't use the word perfect. I wouldn't even go an inch near that. If this is something that you actually want to be stopped, then put some fuel into it and become one of the people advocating for it to change. So fight against AI like you have something to lose, because you do. That's what I look at it like. Video editing's probably going to go as soon as AI figures out how to do that. That's not the reason I'm doing this. I'm not motivated by job security. I mean, hey, just come up with a funny prompt and try to draw it. It might be funnier if it's like just a shitty pencil drawing of something than like a high rendered image. And in the spirit of imperfect human art, I'm going to ask Discord for a bunch of prompts and I'm just going to draw them instead of using AI, because that's what a real artist would do. So hopefully you're seeing really bad examples right now. I'm not a real artist. Hi, I hope you enjoyed the video that you just watched. I have to go kind of fast because it's been a while since I uploaded. I had COVID, I ran out of money, a ton of things happened. Basically, wear your mask, please. They're not kidding about that. But if you want to continue this discussion in the comments, I will be reading them, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch and here. Hopefully I'll be posting again very soon. No more breaks in between videos. Alright, take care of yourselves, take care of others. I love you very much, and bye.